guest is a world record holder who was made in Chelsea, broken in Jordan, and now he's going to be broken pretty much everywhere 7 times over. His latest world record bid is 7 in 7, so it's about to get a lot tenser for Spencer Matthews.
Vassos, you nearly did his announcement for him then.
What a great intro.
Morning, Spencer. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, before we get into your story, which is amazing, so interesting. You're such an interesting human being. Vassos, you might as well finish off his announcement for him.
No, I just did a little, an amuse-bouche.
Well, all he's got to say is triathlon, and that's it. You're done, aren't you? Spencer, over to you. What are you up to, and when is it going to happen?
So,
God bless you, Spencer.
Well, thank you very much. Firstly, great to meet you both. Big admirer of everything that you guys do on out running and in health and fitness in general. So no, having done the 13:30, looking to a next challenge. Wanted to try and find something kind of bigger, exciting, on a kind of global scale.
Is it 7 and 7 something?
It is, yes. Sorry, I'll get to the point. So we're doing. I'm going to be doing 7 Ironman, full distance Ironman triathlons on all 7 continents.
Wow.
In quite quick succession. So,
right.
So that'll see us go from Africa to Australia, Asia, Europe, North America, South America, ending in Antarctica, which is going to be pretty rough. It's quite inhospitable.
Yeah, goodness me, so many questions here because I didn't know what the announcement was. Because I asked the team to keep me in the dark because I didn't know what you were going to do, and then I got on a stick over here. But so I've seen a documentary on somebody trying to do an Ironman in Antarctica,
yes.
And it's a 90-minute film.
Yeah, that's Anders Hoffman.
Have you seen the film?
I have.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible.
So that's going to be just one of your 7.
That'll be our last leg.
It's probably a wise idea.
So initially we wanted to figure it out and start with Antarctica to kind of get it out of the way, and then realise that it might be a deeply depressing thing to not be finished.
Also, you are filming it, so it's a great like Willy Won't-y kind of thing as well.
I think Antarctica. Only 2 people in history, as far as I'm aware, have ever completed an Ironman in Antarctica. One of which is the young gentleman Anders Hoffman that you're referring to. And it took him kind of 3 years to prepare for it. Obviously, it's quite a complicated thing arranging an Ironman in Antarctica. Temperatures are below 0. There's a 3.8 kilometer swim involved in 0.2 degree water.
Crazy, man.
Then 180k on a bike, and then a full marathon, and that's just Antarctica.
The hardest bit, as you'll know, because you saw the film, was the bike.
Yeah. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
A lot of preparation.
Because one might think I've never Ironman. You've Ironman, haven't you? The bike might be the easiest for most people, but in Antarctica, it was absolutely the opposite.
Yeah, I think I will surround myself, as I did in the desert, with great people who give me good advice. We will do our absolute best to limit risk as ever. We'll prepare in every way possible. I believe Anders spent 34 hours on the bike alone.
Yeah.
Leave the swim out and the marathon afterwards. And the other gentleman had an even worse time of it, I believe. His name is Connor, I think.
Was that after Anders then? Because Anders was the first.
Anders was the first. Connor was the second.
That's why he made the film.
Connor is the only person in the world to have ever done an Ironman on all 7 continents.
And that took him 4 years-ish.
Took him just under 4 years.
How long is it going to take you?
We're going to aim to do it in under 4 weeks.
What?
So I believe that if we were racing and we really, put our foot down, we could do it in less than that. I think we could do it in just around 2 weeks.
If everything goes your way.
Exactly. We're giving a bit of a buffer. I think 2 weeks would be doable if it weren't for Antarctica. Antarctica is a big mystery. We can get stuck there. The weather can change in an instant. It's all... it's quite Everesty in many ways, without the altitude. The weather can change and turn, and it can be quite dangerous. Because
other Ironman news, what's his name? The guy that came on our show, lovely guy.
Sean Conway.
So you know about Sean Conway, don't you?
Iron Cowboy.
No, the Iron Cowboy's the American guy. Sean Conway's our guy. Well, he's actually not our guy. He's South African, isn't he?
Yeah, but we're claiming him.
Yeah, we're claiming him.
Perfect.
He did 105 Ironmans back to back.
Wow.
You need to meet him.
Where did he do these?
In Wales.
Yeah, he did them
all in Wales.
All in Wales. So the Iron Cowboy did 100.
Yeah.
Then he did 1 for luck or 2 for luck because he
Yeah.
couldn't help himself. He didn't really want to go back to real life. That's the part of the whole psychological thing, which you'll know about. And Sean did the same thing. And after he'd broken the Ironman's record, 102, he went for 103. He then had to do the what's now obligatory 2 for luck.
Well, no, what he did the 1 for luck, right? Because he was always going to do that. And then he flipped a coin. I think he was going to flip a coin every
delirious.
day. Oh no, one day he said, I'm going to let my social media following decide whether I do it. And they all went, yeah. And then he realised he would literally never finish. So then it was flip a coin. And the first day, tails, he did again, which was 105. And the next day, heads. And then he stopped.
Lawrence was the guy in America, wasn't he? I think his name was Lawrence.
What an incredible athlete.
Okay, so Antarctica is where you're going to end up. Do you have a running order for the others then?
I think
Running order?
when you have yes, very good.
Cycling.
When you have
Yes.
when you look at the world map, I think it might make sense, and this is subject to change, to start in Africa, perhaps Cape Town, head over to Australia, then up into Asia, and then kind of travel left, across the globe over to Europe, North America, South America, and end in Antarctica. I think is our general thinking at the moment.
Right. So resilience and persistence. You have been there. We had so much love for you because you weren't really on our radar, Spencer. I'm just being honest with you from a demographic point of view. But when you were doing your 30 marathons in 30 days in Jordan, there's so much love for you every day, especially when it got towards the pointy end. What did you learn? So for people who don't know, what did you do? Why did you do that? And what did you learn from it?
So the 30 marathons in 30 days in Jordan, which we called the Great Desert Challenge, was for charity. We raised £627,000 for children mostly who are facing kind of difficult challenges, unfair challenges in life, and we were able to make a pretty significant difference with that race, and it was one of the most special times in my life. If I'm being honest, I had a lot of, it's quite a big word, but epiphany moments.
Yeah, of course.
And learnt an awful lot about myself, but also was deeply touched by the effect that it appeared to have on others outside of the fundraise. As you're saying, we weren't. Well, sorry, I wasn't on your radar. But it wasn't really, the amount of people just in the street that would come up to me saying that they've taken up running, they've started running because of
great, isn't it?
what they saw in Jordan. They're doing their first marathon, they're doing the first 10K because all of this feels achievable to them now. And that feeling of potentially being able to help others, coming from a career prior to this, having not ever focused on that particularly, was a really wonderful moment for me. And I learned a lot. I learned that normal people can do extraordinary things. I learned that if you focus and make an effort, you can achieve things, far beyond what you may have perceived was possible before. A lot of interesting life lessons actually were embedded in that challenge.
Yeah, because if you can do things hard, but you can do them on easy mode. So you can set your own easy mode. And you and I know this because you've been sober for 6 years and I've been sober for 18 months. And it's amazing what can happen when you stop. All the things that can happen when you stop doing one small thing.
Yeah. Well, changing my relationship with alcohol was a necessity for me. I'm actually not teetotal completely.
Right,
I did about 3 years of abstinence.
Right.
And now I find myself just not, I don't really like it. I will drink every so often. Like I'm sure I'll have some drinks around Christmas and New Year and stuff with family, but I almost find myself regretting it in the moment. And I don't, I'm 36 years old now. I'm very interested in my health and fitness. Yeah. No, but just, I no longer, I'm not 20 anymore. Yeah. I no longer get a kind of kick or a joy out of being out socializing in that way. Yeah. And so, I have found, thankfully, after years of abusing alcohol, a lovely balance with it where it no longer really plays a part in influencing me in a negative way. And I feel like I have pretty good control over it, which is a place that I'm very thankful to be in because it was quite, it was a bit rough for a while.
Yeah, it was a ride, wasn't it? It
Indeed.
was a ride, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So, Made in Chelsea. Can I talk about Made in Chelsea?
If you like.
Because, I'm not misremembering this. It was Will McDonald, wasn't it, that made in Chelsea?
From Monkey Kingdom.
It's from Monkey Kingdom. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't know that it's 25 series in and is still going.
Yeah.
How long have you on it for? What did you learn? Because you talked about epiphanies, in Jordan.
Yeah.
Were there any epiphanies making you have made in Chelsea epiphanies or not?
I think I've done the wrong thing by speaking badly of that show from time to
By the
time.
way, I didn't know you'd done any of this, so I'm a clean slate here.
It's Made in Chelsea was a time in my life, similar to one of your first jobs,
of course,
I imagine,
100%.
and it's something that I'm grateful for having been involved in at the time.
I'm just fascinated by it.
Because at the time it was fresh, it was new, it was interesting. It was kind of the UK's answer to The Hills, which was a huge MTV show. I was interested in fame at the time.
Wow.
And I wanted to be well known, and all these things that you perhaps fantasize about when you're a young man.
You wouldn't be married to Vogue, because we're all where we're meant to be, and we're all exactly where we are because of all the things that have happened. So it's all good in the hood in the end.
I guess I don't particularly look at that product as something I'm really proud of. It was something interesting at the time, and I respect what they. It's a very popular TV series.
Well,
it's not
just so you know, Tilly thought you were brilliant in it. I don't know. I've never seen it. I didn't know how you feel about it. I don't know how you feel about it.
It is what it is. I look at my life now and I struggle to see the similarity in me then and me now, and that's fine. I think life's a journey and people grow and people change. If I could permanently erase some scenes from that show, I probably would.
I actually have no idea what you're talking about because I haven't read up about it. I've read up about you, but not that necessarily. Yeah. So now I want to watch it.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
It's the no makeup advert. It's the anti-advert advert. Oh my goodness me. So how old were you when you joined that show?
Early 20s. So I was
you're nearly about
20 years old. So
decade and a half, 2 decades away from that now.
16 years ago.
So your fitness now, your ultra, so the athleticism, and this 7 Ironmans on 7 continents, hopefully within 4 weeks. I mean, astounding. Back to the epiphanies in Jordan. All right, we'll leave the epiphanies for Made in Chelsea for another show. I don't care. What did you learn about yourself in Jordan? What were the headlines? Because you'd already learned a lot about the what's wrong, what's right about stuff.
I think it was an important lesson in using emotion, I suppose. Like understanding, keeping calm when things go wrong, just focusing on staying on track. We were aware for that particular challenge that the majority of the fundraise and to have would come later, and to have the maximum impact on families who desperately needed that help would come later towards the final marathons and at the end and even afterwards. So my main fear was not completing what we'd set out to achieve, and obviously there were lots of issues that came up, and there'll be many issues in the 2025
What was the most
world
unexpected
record.
Or surprise issue? Because you try and plan for everything, and you've got a great team.
Camp was difficult. We were in camp for about 18 hours a day.
Right.
Temperatures were 48 degrees.
That's so interesting. So not the running.
The running, we were out and about
interesting.
exploring the Wadi Rum desert, feeling quite privileged to be there. You as a runner, both of you as runners, would, I imagine, adore to run the route that I ran.
Maybe once.
I'm very happy that I got to do it, but camp was mundane in nature.
Of course.
Often we didn't have cellular service. It was very incredibly hot, 48 degrees.
Of course.
No air conditioning, obviously. Camp would move a lot, so we would sleep rough every single night. We didn't have beds. There was no toilets, no running water.
So what helped? What was the kind of things you discovered that helped?
Just going inside yourself and relax. I don't mean to sound all airy-fairy or whatever, but it was just having that ability to just sit and be.
Wow.
was something that I'm not used to. I run at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and not literally, of course, but I like being active. I like having stuff to do. I like being busy. Coming from an alcoholic background, boredom is one of my triggers, if you will. If I'm sat there doing nothing and I'm not busy, I get sidetracked quite easily into wanting to busy myself.
Or your ego does.
Yeah, so it was quite hard. Thankfully, I ran a marathon every day, so there was that element of feeling tired and exhaustion. So it was easier to stay still, obviously. But just that camaraderie, that bond that you develop with your team. Obviously, I didn't know my team before getting out there. We hired, weeks to go, got out there. and you become incredibly close with the people that you're with. I miss my family, obviously, but it was it felt like an incredibly purposeful time in my life, and to bring Made in Chelsea into it, that didn't, and that's no disrespect for the show, but I never felt like a complete person when I was doing that show. I felt my alcoholism over the years, I felt quite ashamed of, and I resented a lot of my behaviour. I lost my brother to Mount Everest when I was 10 years old, and that's no reason to behave a certain way, but having had a bit of therapy and stuff over the years, I understand that might have been a reason for not the reason for being a certain way, and I look back at a lot of my life with a bit of regret, unfortunately, and a bit of shame, and this world record that we just achieved changed my life completely. It made me feel really proud of myself, and I haven't really felt that at times in my life, almost emotionally so. And I get to, I got a different level of interest in what we were doing from incredible journalists and people, and now, like my life is changing for the better because of the decisions. Because of the decisions that we're making, my life is becoming more purposeful and better. We want to create better things and do more.
Good for you.
And it feels like a really exciting, interesting time in my life. I'm delighted.
Right, so when did you hatch this nutcase plan then?
Pretty much as soon as we finished the...
Was it sort of hovering around you, this idea?
I've never done an Ironman like you. I've always been fascinated by the idea of doing an Ironman. Many see it as a pinnacle of athleticism. I've done a half a few years ago. I really loved it.
I've done a relay mini or whatever they're called.
Yeah. And I love the idea of doing it. I think we're looking to turn this into a television series. And so I found that incorporating that idea of global travel in there as well, visiting all 7 continents in a short period of time, is something I'd love to do anyway. Sport, as you know, is now a very embedded and important part of my life. So this will be incredibly difficult, but it will also be a very beautiful experience, I think. And
I want to see it. I mean, we love Somebody Feed Phil. He just goes around the world eating, doesn't he? But he does it very well, by the way. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So if he can make, it's a big hit show. It's a massive Netflix show.
Have you been to Asia much?
Not really. No. I mean, I haven't. I'm not well travelled. He's your man for travelling.
Where would you do the Ironman in Asia if you could choose any?
Not Southeast Asia, which is very humid. I once went for a run in the jungle on the Thailand-Myanmar border. I was running past villages, and villagers were looking at me like, "You're a lunatic," and it turns out they were right, because it couldn't have been more than 45 minutes, but I was absolutely done. And then last summer,
that's where we're going to end up then.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, we were in Death Valley. And I did a run in Death Valley, which was much hotter. It was like in the 50s. But that was, funnily enough, that was easier because it's dry heat than Southeast Asia. Beijing, I went for a run during the Olympics, and that's very polluted. So also steer clear of Beijing.
So do you want to make it like as hard as you can, or as interesting as you can, or as sort of informative, instructive as you can? What do you want to do? Because I suppose that's a mission, isn't it, in your planning?
I think, we'd like to make it as interesting as possible, as well as being, tough and complicated. I'm not going to sit there on a static bike or a running machine at any point. We're gonna swim in the sea. We're gonna swim lakes. I'm going to cycle the full 180k, out in the open, and we're going to run the marathons. There won't be anything static, but keen to explore really exciting and interesting parts of the world while we do it. This feels like an immense opportunity to broaden my horizons as well.
When do you think it might happen?
That will be dependent on Antarctica, because there are certain windows. So we are currently kind of doing the work to figure this out. But it's quite easy to get stuck in Antarctica.
You've got to get through 6 before you get there.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God.
I've never done one either. So no, I did find myself losing a bit of sleep the other night, thinking, this feels like a lot again. But
yeah, I think I last night I couldn't sleep because I think I'd forgotten to pay a couple of bills.
Well, tell me about it. Yeah.
This is different, man, isn't it? Wow, this is so cool. So an official Guinness World Record attempt. That's all
Yes.
You know how to do that. And will people that you met in Jordan, will they be part of your team? Do you have a team now? Is that the thing?
I would love to use the same team if they were willing. Chris Taylor, who was the logistical lead on the 30 and 30, has agreed to work with me again. I hope if he hasn't, then he has now. But no, we spoke the other day, and he is finding it amusing how quickly we are moving on this next challenge. But yes, he, in an ideal world, will lead the charge. I've been working on a bit of a passion project as well for next year that is all about human potential and the kind of untapped potential that I feel that many of us are sat on, or that we're all sat on.
So much of it.
And I've been chatting to really fascinating people, and I've got this incredible project, in my opinion, that comes out in January, and I'd love to talk to you more about that in January. But I'm talking to some really amazing people who've achieved incredible things that inspire me, and I'm looking forward to that as well. And Chris and them, and I'd love as many people to play a part as possible who can help.
All right, so at Spencer Matthews on Instagram, give him a follow. Guinness World Record attempt 7 is 7 for the latest updates. Go to at Spencer Matthews on Instagram, because it's his work in progress, but it's definitely 100% going to happen. So exciting. I'm so excited for you. Are you training now? I mean, you must have it in your mind.
Yeah, no, I'm spending... I find that training is a really... essential part of my life at the moment anyway.
But are you training? That's exercising. Are you training towards this?
I'm not in a training block per se for this yet, but I am cycling and I am running, and I'm spending time in a 0-degree ice bath and
ready for the swim.
Well, the swim is the most worrying thing for me about this entire project.
He's written a book about swimming.
I'd love to chat to you about that. But
somebody's published.
3.8 kilometers in 0 degrees is going to be. I mean, you only have to watch Anders' documentary to see how long he had to prepare for that. So
it's proper.
And we imagine getting there and failing the last one. You'd have to do all 6
Well,
again.
his documentary starts with him trying to stay in cold open water for 30 seconds, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and he ends up having to swim 3.8 miles?
Kilometers.
Yeah.
That's
any tips, Vassos?
I mean, luckily you're allowed all the neoprene, aren't you?
Yeah, but there's not enough neoprene.
No, there's not enough neoprene in the world.
Yeah.
There'll be a nice wetsuit.
They do say put weight on, but then that's problematic for the rest of the Ironmans, because you've got to then cycle and run.
But this is to do with the cold one. You're talking about the cold one now, aren't you?
Yeah.
They're not all going to be cold, are they?
No.
And also, if it's the last one, you'll have lost all the weight by the time you come round to it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Are you going to
If anybody makes any good wetsuits, let me know.
Yeah.
Oh, great, Spencer! Great to meet you, man. And Vogue, of course, is in this chair, quite often. Anything else you'd like to say to people listening?
Wow. No, just thanks very much for listening. The interest, honestly, in the first world record was greater than I'd ever anticipated, and I felt just really, really moved by all of the messages, and I hope that this brings excitement and interest in a similar way, and hope to see you all in 2025.
And inspiration. Good. Excellent. Let's hear it for Spencer Matthews. He did not disappoint. Here we go. Amazing. Cheers, Spencer.
How kind. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.